I stopped digging little holes and putting these in the ground, and I stopped doing it at night, skulking around in my dirty outfits when I've been working with this stuff all day. Just kept 20 or 30 of them in the trunk of my car, and whenever I would see a new cell phone tower go up along the highway, I'd pull over to the right-hand side of the road and stop the car and go in my trunk, and I'd take an OG out and turf it either into the ditch or into the bushes nearby. It can be 300 yards away from it, and it's fine. Initially decided that I wanted to make some of these orgone generators and gift them, throw them next to cell phone towers. That was my inspiration to do my little bit to give back to the world, to mitigate the bad frequencies coming off the cell phone towers. So when I was talking to Don Croft on the telephone, he inspired me to get started. He said, he didn't give me the idea of Dixie cups, but I got the idea that the simplest, he was using glass cups or something, some glass molds he was making them in, you know. I came to the idea of Dixie cups as an easy container to hold my metal and resin and my crystals. And they're cheap. You can buy them for $12 for $500 at Costco. When you're gifting them, eventually, after a few years, the paper is going to dissolve anyway. It doesn't matter because I used to bury them at first, which I stopped doing. Or just throw them near a cell phone tower and they'll be fine. The grass will grow over them, people will not find them, and they'll keep on doing their good work for years and years. Or throw them into a water ditch is even better. It just seemed reasonable, easily for me to get hold of containers rather than using glass containers. When I made a bunch of these, I also said to people, you know, take one and wrap it up in an old towel or something, put it underneath the car or anywhere in the car. I usually say the driver's seat for no particular reason, but just throw it under the driver's seat and forget about it. You can put it in the trunk or anywhere in the car, and then it's fine. It's just a nice, handy container to keep it all together. I talked to one of the fellows at the foundry, and he said, yeah, this steel comes from Sweden. It's special hardened steel. They lathe it, and then they have tons of this stuff. And I was able to go to the foundry because the son of the foundry was already in his 70s, and he was thinking of retiring, and his son wasn't interested in taking over the foundry. It's in Surrey. And he was of Swiss origin, very nice man. And I asked his son whether I would be able to go to the foundry and get a few buckets of this metal. And he said, yeah, come on over. We've got tons of it lying around. Actually, we box it up and we sell it to people who melt it again and use this high-grade steel. So I was really fortunate and thankful that he allowed me to come anytime with a couple of buckets, and I would walk through the foundry, and I was able to access brass stuff too. The marine applications uses a lot of brass, and they made a lot of things out of brass for marine applications. And I was able to access, and they threw a lot of the brass out into a junk bucket there, and I just go and help myself when I found stuff that I really liked. If you really truly want to do this, the universe will provide a solution to your problems. Give it time. Don't get too anxious about it. Someone will come along and they'll open a door for you. And in the meantime, I was making my own OGs, and if I didn't have metal, I would go to the dollar store and buy copper scrubbies, and I would chop them up with a big scissor, and I'd use that metal. And get yourself a roll of aluminum foil, tear pieces off, throw them into a ball, make 3 or 4 balls, throw them into the blender, turn it on to high, and mush it up into a fine powder, and you've got metal. It's really nice to use, see? And there are people who think, oh, aluminum isn't good for this. has to be steel or has to be this. No, it doesn't. You need something that the energy repels. Any metal will do, because as the frequencies are sucked in by the resin, they're immediately repelled by the metal. So you have a high repulsion attraction frequencies, which is chaotic and unbalanced energy, and the crystals inside have the ability to transmute this chaotic, unbalanced energy, and it smooths it out, it balances it out, and what comes out of an orgone generator now is this smooth, harmonic, balanced, positive energy that all living things want more of. Grass, pets, humans, anything that's alive, anything that's organic wants more of this good, positive energy, because we have too much of the negative and not enough of the positive. And when you're surrounded by orgone generators, you come into a state of balance and everything will work better. You will even have neighbors who've never said hi to you in years, suddenly one morning will say, "Oh, hi," and blow you away. Those were the stories when I was still in fear. And I was worried about maybe black helicopters coming along and swooping over my house and picking up the energy from the orgone generators. And I used to read that, but people talking about having black helicopters over their head, and they were getting anxious and worried, and they felt like they were being targeted. And then I started thinking about that, and I said, that doesn't make any sense. You're in fear. Why are you in fear? What are you afraid of? Come out of your fear and see what happens. So I stopped digging little holes and putting these in the ground, and I stopped doing it at night, skulking around in my dirty outfits when I've been working with this stuff all day. Just kept 20 or 30 of them in the trunk of my car, and whenever I would see a new cell phone tower go up along the highway, I'd pull over to the right-hand side of the road and stop the car and go in my trunk, and I'd take an OG out and turf it either into the ditch or into the bushes nearby. And you don't have to get close to the cell phone tower at all. You can be 300 yards away from it, and it's fine. But some people think they have to be right close next to it. No, it's not necessary. I've gifted hundreds and hundreds of them. I've covered both sides of the highway from here to White Rock. Any cell phone on either side of the road I've gifted with OGs. And on River Road, I gifted all the way to the Alex Fraser Bridge. And all of Richmond I've gifted. But remember, I've been doing this for 15 or more years. Some of them, I have 2 or 3 of these at a cell phone tower. They keep hanging more antennas on the same tower. So I figured, well, I can gift another one. Probably isn't necessary, but I do it anyway. It's setting up a grid, and most of us who make orgone generators, we all gift throughout the world. In Africa, in Indonesia, the Philippines, Japan, Australia, Europe. Anybody who gets into this is going to end up gifting, because it feels you need to do that. When you do the research, you come across all the gifters and what they've done and the wonderful results they've had. In Africa, they've thrown many of them into lakes and have had incredible results. The algae disappears and the waters become clear again, and life comes back into stagnant waters. It's amazing what these, and none of these energies you can see. It's just Mother Nature working with the best way it possibly can when you throw these orgone devices. All the trees in our compound here, I've got an orgone generator planted beside all the trees. The trees, remember, the trees' roots go very deeply. This energy then is very grounding. The trees love this energy. Why wouldn't you do that if you have a chance or an opportunity to do that? You know, give back, pay it forward, you know.